Hi, welcome to day 4 of the 12 days of chiropractic. Today's topic is on physical stress, and in today's presentation we're going to discuss the causes of physical stress, how it affects our bodies, and things that you can do at home to help start correct these the problems that arise from the physical stresses. So first of all, let's talk about the types of stresses. And the first one is macro trauma. And macro trauma includes things like car accidents, falls, sporting injuries, things that we associate a direct trauma with. The micro traumas are a little more subtle, and these are more in your repetitive strain type of injuries. So if you're in the workplace, you may have experienced using a mouse a lot, you'll get some pain in the arm, or typing, same type of thing. Sports people, they may be like tennis players who are serving all the time, so they're always getting stress through the shoulder. These are repetitive strain injuries. There's not a direct trauma, it's an accumulation type of injury. So what happens when we have these type of injuries? Well, one of the things that happens is our posture starts to change to adapt to the trauma that's been caused. Now, one of the ones that's very classic in our society is a micro trauma caused by sitting for long periods. So this kind of resolves mainly around people who have office jobs where they sit all day at a computer. And one of the things that happens when we do sit is that some of the muscles that would normally work while we're standing up shut off, causing us to lose our good postural shape. So here I am now, I'm standing in an extended position, standing up in a reasonably good posture. When we sit, and I'll do this side on, when we sit, we tend to lose the use of our abdominal muscles, our chin juts forward and our shoulders start to round. Now, and we may be working at a computer. If we're doing this all day, most days, our body will start to think this is our new normal and start to adapt to that scenario. So let's use the instance of this postural position that changes, where our head goes forward, our shoulders round, and what happens? Well, from a structural perspective, our joints in our spine can start to be affected. They start to stop moving as well. They will start to create some degenerative change over a long time. Certain muscles will tighten up and other muscles will become weak. And over time, this will cause us different types of symptoms. It may be pain. It may be fatigue and tired muscles. How many of us have felt at the end of the day where we just want to rub our shoulders just because they feel tired, and have a partner massage us and make us feel just that little bit better. It's interesting if you want to understand that when we make these changes to our posture, how much it actually can affect, and not correcting them, how much worse it can make. It's estimated that the human head weighs about somewhere between 4 and 5 kilos. And in its normal position, it should be, let's say the neck is straight, it is slightly curved, but let's say it's straight. And in this position, it's got the gravity coming down on top, and it's creating, say, 4 or 5 kilos worth of pressure. But just moving that forward by 2.5 centimeters creates another 4 to 5 kilos of pressure on the head and on the neck, and another 2.5 centimeters creates another 4 or 5 kilos. So how many people do you know in your life who have this forward head position, and how much pressure that is creating on their spine? It might be like 15 kilos worth of pressure. When we get in that state, it makes it much harder to make changes. So one of the things we want to talk about today is how do we correct these postural stresses? Well, the first thing I'd suggest you do, and you're probably already doing it because you're here, is to see your chiropractor. So if you're seeing Vanessa, that's great. Making sure that your joints are moving to the best of their ability, making sure that when they are, that tends to release our muscles a little bit more, is the first step that you need to do. You need a chiropractor to assess your x-rays and assess your spine to make sure that you've got good, proper movement. The second thing to do is to start to do some exercises to make changes. So the exercise I'm going to show you today is called the Brugger's Relief Position. So I'm going to stand back a little bit and I'll show you what it is and what it does. So Brugger's Relief Position, we're basically standing with our palms facing forward. The first thing we want to do is just engage our abdominal muscles a little. So we just want to tighten them up. We want to bring our hands out to the side so our hands are in line with our hips. They're not forward. And we want to engage the muscles between our shoulder blades. So if you can imagine there's a $100 note between your shoulder blades and you're trying to hold on to that $100 note, that's the kind of pressure we want. So we're squeezing the shoulder blades together, we're opening up our chest, and we're engaging here. The other thing we want to concentrate on is our head position. We want to tuck that chin back in so that we're not forward protruding, we're back in this position. So what you're going to do, you're going to start in this position, hands facing forward. You're going to get your chin tucked in, core engaged, and you're going to breathe in and out 5 times. So you breathe in through the nose, and then you breathe out through the mouth. As you breathe out, just turn your thumbs back behind you. So you're opening up this area of your chest a little bit more. So that should take you 20 to 30 seconds. And so what we're doing here is we're improving the strength of some muscles, so our core muscles are engaging and the muscles between our shoulder blades are engaging, allowing us to pull back. And we're stretching through here. This allows us to get a better posture. One of the other interesting things about creating a better posture is the way it affects our brain function. So let's go back to the case of this sedentary position where you're sitting like this for 6 to 8 hours a day at a computer. If I was to share with you that this not only can affect you with pain and tired muscles, but actually affects the way you think and the way you feel about yourself, would you like to be able to change that? Well, most of us would want to do something if we could. So I'm going to give you a short lesson on brain function and how our positioning of our bodies helps our brain function. So this is the front part of our brain, or the anterior part of our brain, and this is the posterior part of our brain, or the back. The back part of the brain provides our sensory input. So what we see, what we smell, what we hear, it gets processed in the back part of our brain. The front part of our brain is more for our logic and reasoning, the way when we plan, and also for motor function, the way we move. The interesting thing about these areas is that their nutrition, or their ability to be healthy, comes from stimulation of our posture. Well, not stimulation of our posture, but our positioning affects the health of these areas. So let's start with the back part of the brain, the posterior part of the brain. It receives this stimulus from the weight-bearing joints, so the hips, knees, lower limbs, and in the spine. There are little receptors within these joints that fire, when we move and we stand, fire back into that posterior part of the brain, providing a stronger neural pathway to that part of the brain. Better health, better perceptions of the world around us. The thing that stimulates the anterior part of the brain is our muscles that hold us erect. So this is called an erect position, or extension. And these muscles are our thighs, our quadriceps, our buttock muscles, and the muscles in the back of our spine and the back of our arm. And so when we're in this extended position, this fires straight into the anterior part of our brain, providing a good neural pathway for there. If we're not in this position, and we're in this flexed position that we may find ourselves at work, the opposite occurs, where our health and our brain function is decreased. If you are an office worker and you experience these moments of dullness where you feel tired, you feel lethargic, you don't feel great about yourself, it may be to do with the fact that you just haven't moved for a long period of time because you haven't stimulated these part of the brain, because the joints and the muscles that hold those part of the brains just haven't been used. So if we can change that, why wouldn't we? So one of the things we're going to show you today is the last little exercise. And this is going to be, we're going to do a bouncing exercise. If you have the room to do this at work, I strongly encourage you to do this. First of all though, if you could stand at work when working, then I would recommend doing that. It's not possible for everyone, but for me when I studied, it made a massive difference. And the other thing I did was every hour I moved and I bounced. So this is what I did. So we're in this extended position and I just bounced. So in doing this, we are stimulating the weight-bearing joints that stimulate the posterior part of the brain. We're also in an extended position which fires into the front part of the brain, building better pathways, and we feel better and think better about the world around us. So I would encourage you, if you can, to get moving as much as you can. Try the Brugger's relief position. You can do this every hour. If you're at work, get up and move. Bounce if you can, if you don't feel too awkward. But I guarantee you this will change the way you think and feel in an instant if you start moving. I appreciate you for watching. It's been a long video, but hopefully very, very worthwhile. Good luck with it, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 5.